My first job ever was in a restaurant. I wasn't even a waiter. They didn't trust me enough. I was 15 years old. And my only job was to slice bread. And I learned that you need to be gentle with the bread. And I learned not to squish my bread. Poor little 15-year-old me. I got yelled at so bad at that restaurant. I was fucking up everything. I was a mess. Still am, arguably. Hey everyone, welcome back to the kitchen. I'm so happy you're here. My name is Francisco, and today I'm gonna be doing an everyday salmon salad. The reason why I call it everyday salmon salad is because it's just that. Like, this really, I think, answers the question to me of like, what's for dinner or what's for lunch in my house at least twice a week. I make the salad very often in the week because I feel like it checks a lot of my boxes. Like, it is practical, it has protein, it's cost effective, but it's not, you know, we're not gussying it up. We're not doing like cool chefy things. We're just like making something that is very, very good, very, very nutritious, very, very practical. And I can't wait to show you. First thing that I'm gonna do, I already have my water boiling for my pasta. We've been through this. This is the first thing you do when you arrive to your house. Just start boiling your water, because if not, it takes for fucking ages and you're just sitting there waiting for your water to boil. We don't want that. To this, I am going to add a cup of pasta, like short grain pasta. I'm using this kind that is like fresh eggy pasta. It has this like twisty shape. I think it's really, really beautiful. Salt your pasta water. You'll hear me saying this over and over and over again. Okay, lovely. So the next thing that I am going to do is I'm going to prepare my corde bouillon, even though it's not really a corde bouillon. Corde bouillon is essentially, or traditionally, a very, very, very flavored sort of water broth situation in which you can poach or boil any kind of protein. Traditional corde bouillon, I believe, has like wine, and it's like very French. I'm not really doing that. All I'm doing really is I am making a very, very, very well-seasoned, flavored boiling water. This is what is going to flavor our salmon. This is what is going to season our salmon. And I find that doing this, you really have to do very little to the salmon afterwards, which is exactly what I want. I'm gonna start with just simple water. We're gonna cover to the brim because I want my salmon to be completely submerged in water. Good. Just find like the cheapest alliums that you can find in the store. Adding my onion. I'm adding quite a bit of freshly ground black pepper. This isn't gonna make it spicy, it's just, black pepper is very floral. I'm adding a whole lemon. I'm just gonna remove the seed because if I left the seeds, it would make my broth quite bitter. They do sell seedless lemons, but like, I don't know, there's something so natural for me of that. Like, I mean, not to get all like nature defensive. Seeds is what allows the fruit to like grow more of itself, like reproduce. Like, why are we taking that away from the, it doesn't seem right. My pasta's ready. I'm just gonna taste one. Woo, slippery suckers. It's perfect. That was 5 minutes, by the way. Okay, draining it. So just FYI, I don't really need the pasta water. If I were making an actual pasta dish, I would never rinse that pasta water. I would never rinse that starch that they have, because the starch is effectively what is going to thicken a beautiful pasta sauce. But since I'm not doing a pasta sauce, like pasta dish, this is just like a pasta salad, I'm actually okay with just like cooling this off, rinsing off the starch, and setting it aside. I'm just gonna drizzle it with some olive oil just to prevent any sticking, like a tablespoon worth of olive oil. Mixy mix. When my pasta is just like this, kind of fresh out of the water, I like to hit it with a bit more salt and pepper. I'm just gonna finish my corde bouillon. I'm adding an entire bowl of garlic. I don't peel anything. I'm not gonna eat any of this. This is gonna be discarded later, so it's all good. And finally, salt. I'm gonna taste this. Make sure that it's at least salted, and it isn't. It needs to be saltier than you think. We're not drinking this, remember. It's just cooking our salmon. A lot of that salt is gonna go down the drain. Do not have anxiety about it. It's the medium in which our salmon is going to cook, so we want it to be really well seasoned. And that is well seasoned. Lovely, okay. That's our corde bouillon. I'm very happy with it. It is at room temperature, it isn't hot. And to this, I'm going to add my entire salmon fillet. Please give it up for our salmon fillet. This is a beautiful, beautiful piece of fish. It has the skin on. If I were to put this to a boil and then introduce my salmon, the outer layer of my salmon would cook immediately, but it would take some time for the heat to penetrate the center of the fish. By the time the center of the fish is cooked, the outside would be super overcooked. So what we're doing is we're letting that outside of the salmon, of the fish, and this applies with any protein, by the way, we're letting the outer layer cook slowly, and once it's cooked, we're turning off the heat, we stop blasting it with heat, we just let the heat slowly penetrate to the center. And that is what's going to give us like the most beautiful, not overcooked, like deliciously pink flavored salmon. While my salmon is cooking, I'm going to prep the rest of my ingredients for my salad. So the base of the salad, it doesn't have lettuce, it doesn't have spinach or anything like that. I prefer to have my salads with herbs. The base for the salad is parsley. Oh, she's wet. You could swap the parsley if it's not your thing. You can swap it with arugula. Definitely some beautiful arugula because it's like mustardy and it has a kick. I like it. Scallions, they provide a wonderful allium-y flavor. And then celery. I really like buying the celery that has leaves. It can be tough to find now. I don't know what is happening in stores and farmers or whatever that they think that we don't want the leaves. We want the leaves. We want the leaves. They're great. They provide, again, they're kind of like an herb to me. Keep this part. Everyone throws it away. It's great for stock. Actually, let's do something fun. Let's chop it. Get rid of that dirty part. And I'm gonna add it to my cordon bouillon because this has flavor. As I said, I like irregularity, so I will like separate two and maybe stack them on top of each other, cutting them in a bias so you have these like fun little pieces. And then the leaves, I just gave them a very rough chop. I like the big leaves. Bear claw, you know bear, not the bear. The bear claw. If you have your fingies like this, that's how you cut them. And if you have the bear claw, you can feel the knife on your knuckles, control it, but you won't get cut. Onto our scallions. I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. By the way, this serves like 6. So don't worry, I'm not like gonna eat 5 scallions by myself right now. I can do that and be like, who wants to give me a kiss? Same principle, cutting them sort of like in a bias. Some of them in an extreme bias, some of them in a non-extreme bias. Okay, this is kind of coming into a boil. I want you to see. I can see some bubbles. They're forming, they're happening. Heat is off, lid goes on. Also, it's gonna be there for those 7 to 8 minutes, but once I fish it out and I let it rest, it's gonna still be hot. It's gonna continue cooking, so don't be anxious about that. Like, your salmon will be cooked. Okay, transferring my scallions into a separate bowl. My salmon is ready to come out of the water. Joy to us all. Let's do this. Admittedly, this can be a little tricky, but I don't want you to be scared. If it breaks, if it falls apart, that's fine. That means it's cooked. So as you can see, the color changed. What I usually do in the week is that I will cook my salmon in my cordon bouillon, and then I will coat my pasta in this water because this is flavored water. So actually, I did it for time saving, but I regret it. I would totally cook my pasta in this water. I'm gonna change the recipe. Sorry. Don't touch it with your hands. It's very hot. I can do that because I am certified Mexican and I have no feeling in my fingers anymore. I'm just putting it back together for like the aesthetics of it all, but it doesn't need to be a whole one piece. I'm just sick. I'm letting this rest. The skin, what do I do with the skin? I eat it. It does become kind of like rubbery, I suppose. I can't think of a less egregious adjective, unfortunately. I don't mind it. I like the texture. I like the variations in texture. Just to get this out of the way, I know that there are ways in the kitchen to make salmon that like oven roasted and like poaching it on fat and like making the skin really crispy and searing it in a cast iron. I know that. I know that that exists. This isn't that. This is for the week. I'm not trying to like poach a fish in fat for like my everyday salad. That is like, I would not feel good. That would not be good for me. Not everything in this world needs to be golden brown and crispy. Yeah, there are other textures. I just want to celebrate those. I love golden brown and crispy. I have nothing against it. I just feel 5 to 7 years ago, like everyone was saying it and they were making everything golden brown and crispy. They were making vegetables brown and crispy and protein and bread. This fish is not golden brown and crispy. It is more unctuous. It is more soft. It is falling apart. We can make another video one day of crispy salmon, but this is something different. Embrace it. All right, guys, we're almost done. Stay with me now. I am going to set my salmon aside. Parsley, as we mentioned in the beginning, this is what adds bulk. This is kind of our lettuce in the salad. And I'm going to, first and foremost, divide the stems from like the leafy parts. So I'm just kind of like pulling the leafy parts up, dividing it, chopping it, dividing this in half again, and then kind of aligning everything, because the stems, as you've seen in other recipes, if you have stuck around, I like eating them. Do not waste them. I finally chop those, and then the leaves I leave whole and a little bit bigger. I'm being very YouTubey right now. Like, in real life, I wouldn't use all of these beautiful bowls to display like all of my ingredients. I would just put them in quart containers. Just trying to be cool. One of the last things that I'm gonna do is I'm going to drain my beans. White kidney beans. I love, love, love this bean. Again, with beans, they provide just so much like heft and bulk. Beans do it all. I'm gonna drain them and I'm gonna rinse them. So guys, that is it for our mise en place. That is it for our preparation. Now we are going to assemble our salad. If I were to put everything in and just mix it up and mix it up and mix it up, things can get a little wacky because like the salmon is touching everything else, and then the herbs have been in contact with liquid and with acid, and that means that they are now kind of wilted, seasoned, and plate as you want for each serving so that each serving is perfect. Starting off with a little bit of parsley. As you can see, I'm measuring in a very scientific way. Little celery to the salad, a little scallion, love this. Adding a little bit of beans and a little bit of pasta. So as you can see, it's not that much pasta. I really don't want it to be like a pasta salad. I'm not even calling it a pasta salad. Pasta is there kind of like a, I didn't know you were coming, nice to see you. It's like when you run into like a friend at a party and you're like, oh my God, you know these people? This is great. Like, but you didn't go for them. The seasoning for the salad could not be simpler. I'm not a fan of vinaigrettes. I think that a salad is at its best when it is well seasoned with salt and pepper and has enough olive oil and has enough acid. Life is already hard. Life is already messy. Why would you want to complicate it even further? The juice of half a lemon, catching the seeds with my fingers. Although, to be perfectly frank, if the seeds are not going to come in contact with heat, eat the seeds. Like, when I eat cherries, I'll just swallow the pit. It's fine. Nothing's going to happen to you. You're not going to grow a cherry tree. I feel like that's a very mom thing. When they see you eating like a pit or a seed of something, you're like, you're going to grow a tree inside your stomach. What else am I going to do? I'm going to season with salt. Very, very, very important. Black pepper, which is somewhere here. And olive oil. About a tablespoon. Okay, now I'm actually tossing. Taste to see if it's missing any salt, any vinegar, any blah, blah, blah. I am adding a touch more olive oil because I can taste the acid very, very clearly, but I want to taste a little bit more fat. The last touch is preparing our salmon. So again, in the spirit of keeping everything separate, I am going to keep this and then I'm going to prepare some of my salmon separately. I'm going to season it separately so that in the end, everything can go together. Give it up for our cool salmon. It's not a regular salmon, it's a cool salmon. I'm going to just cut a piece. It just kind of wants to fall apart. I'm going to transfer it to my bowl right here. Season my salmon with, again, a little bit more olive oil. This olive oil is going to help distribute all the flavors together. I'm adding a pinch of chili flake, tiny bit of honey, and a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. And now I'm just going to mix everything up. I'm breaking my salmon, not too much. I'm not being too aggressive here. I just want to break it up into flakes. Finally, I am seasoning everything with salt. Salmon needs salt because it's such a fatty fish that you do need that salt to kind of like cut through. And then finally, I am adding the juice of the other half of my lemon. Also, the chili flake that we incorporated here is going to start pickling with the acid, so it's going to activate. It's going to bring a little bit nice level of heat. So I'm going to let this rest here. I'm going to let this salmon marinate. And in the meantime, I'm going to slice up some beautiful fresh sourdough. Cool, my broiler is on, and I'm just going to add a little bit of olive oil, season with salt and pepper, of course. We're not animals. I had friends over the other day, and I had bread, and I was seasoning my bread, and they were like, you're salting your bread? And I was like, yeah. Like, are people not doing this? Are people not putting salt in their bread? Salt your bread? Oh, it's crispy. I'm not going to do the thing with a knife. I don't do that. I have everything else I can assemble. Let's eat. Let's do this. I mean, are you seeing this? To me, this is it. This is what's for dinner. It's fresh. It's flavorful. It's balanced. This looks so good to me. You get a little bit of hit of that honey from the salmon. It balances everything so well. It balances like the herbs and the punchiness of the parsley. I hope that you learned that salmon can be poached in a beautiful court bouillon. I want salmon to
start becoming like more of a rotationary kind of protein, I'm seeing it less as like the way I used to see it, which was this like, oh no, super special occasion. Hope you liked it. Hope you enjoy it. I hope you make it. And thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Ciao.